Uh-oh, Travis Kelce should have turned off those comments because Swifties are very upset.
Yeah, so as a Swiftie here, I am so disappointed in Taylor. I thought she respects artists' original work, but she was so mean to Justin and helped Blake hijack his work and credit. She advocates artists' ownership of their work, but helped her bestie to steal another man's work? Sad.
She said it. She got into the edit alone. No, Justin. Blake Lively, the charming red carpet actress, privately admitted to kicking the director out of his own film, ready to make it great and successful herself. The texts were clear. She saw Taylor Swift not as a friend, but as a chess piece, a tool for leverage, a means to control the outcome of a movie. She miscalculated, unleashing a cultural weather event. Swifties, the most organized fan base on the planet, saw the betrayal and they do not forgive. This wasn't just drama, it was a countdown to a career meltdown, backed by damning proof.
I've never been so sad on any celebrity doing this, but I'm genuinely sad that Taylor did this. I love her art, but it's so difficult for me to blindly support her in this.
So with Swifties don't do quiet disappointment, they treat betrayal like a group project, meticulously gathering evidence. When private text leaked, showing Blake using Taylor like a chess piece instead of a friend, it wasn't just drama, it was a definitive countdown. This fanbase, known for selling out stadiums across 5 continents and breaking revenue records, moves markets and careers, so when they collectively decided someone crossed a line, it became a purge. Blake Lively didn't just lose goodwill, she lost the benefit of the doubt everywhere, all at once. The cultural weather event was just beginning, and the forecast looked bleak for her carefully constructed image.
I've got another one here from this person that says, isn't it ironic that Taylor Swift doesn't want anyone to control her music, and yet she helped her friend steal someone else's film? You know, like, and it just keeps going.
The irony was palpable. Taylor Swift, a fierce advocate for artists' ownership of their original work, was now implicated in helping her friend, Blake, allegedly steal another man's film and credit. Fans expressed deep disappointment, feeling Taylor had disrespected an artist's original creation. I thought she respects artists' original work, one Swiftie lamented, but she was so mean to Justin and helped Blake hijack his work. The cognitive dissonance was difficult for many to reconcile, making it challenging to blindly support their idol in this complex situation. This drama was unlike any Taylor had faced before, and her tree-like publicist, Andrew, was certainly not pleased with the unfolding narrative.
There is a lot of speculation that perhaps their friendship is fractured or non-existent at this point, that it feels odd and glaring that we haven't seen them together.
Swifties noticed something critical right away, the timeline. These weren't messages sent in the heat of a bad day on set. Some text surfaced even before cameras rolled, long before any alleged conflict or mistreatment could exist. This crucial detail changed everything, transforming the later narrative from reactive to strategic. The online tone shifted rapidly, from confusion to disappointment, then pure anger. It appeared Blake was playing both sides, publicly portraying herself as blindsided while privately orchestrating outcomes with one of entertainment's most powerful figures. This wasn't friendship, it was leverage farming, and Swift fans despise anyone using Taylor as a mere tool instead of a human being.
So many fans, she'll still sell her tickets and her albums and whatnot, but what we know from Taylor Swift and her her publicist manager, they don't like this kind of stuff, Kim. This is bad drama for Taylor Swift, and usually Taylor, doesn't get a lot of it because her comments are off.
The defense, initially claiming Taylor had nothing to do with the movie beyond a single song, collapsed almost immediately. Leaked texts proved otherwise, showing Taylor actively reviewing trailers, providing detailed notes, and engaging in strategic discussions. She even joked about the immense power her involvement generated. This was not accidental participation, it was informed consent, an active role. Fans, far from being dumb, read every line and connected the dots, watching their patience evaporate. Blake's casual remark about the song lifting the trailer, making it cheating with such gravity, underscored Taylor's significant, non-passive influence on the project's perceived quality and impact.
Like, I'm just gonna scroll.
As an ex-Swiftie, I'm heartbroken. Also, I feel deceived. I was rooting for you, Taylor, and I'm so shocked at your vindictive spirit. Yeah, it's a lot of comments, guys. Again, I don't think it's going to really phase her in the long run. She's going to be very popular still, but it's just really sad. And again, she's making fun of Justin's SA story.
This wasn't random hate, it was organized disappointment, rapidly morphing into outright rejection. Fan pages, once bastions of unwavering support, shut down their endorsements. Comment sections flipped tone overnight, with longtime defenders openly expressing that they felt lied to. This matters immensely because Taylor Swift fans are notoriously loyal until you give them an undeniable reason not to be. Blake Lively managed to provide several such reasons, eroding years of goodwill in a matter of days. The quiet shift from support to scrutiny began to ripple through the vast fandom ecosystem, creating an undeniable force against her.
She says, "Don't be thrown by your song." They went out on a limb and kept it, which is cheating because it imbues everything with such gravity and quality. So she's saying that because they're using Taylor's song, they're kind of cheating here because the song lifts this trailer so much.
Blake Lively fundamentally miscalculated the power of a scorned Swiftie. They don't just stop streaming songs or unfollow accounts. They actively change narratives. Media outlets, brands, and major studios all pay close attention to this seismic shift. When millions of people collectively decide you are bad news, doors quietly close, meetings stop happening, and invitations dry up. Nobody announces it, it just happens. This quiet exclusion, far worse than a loud cancellation, creates a silence where careers go to die. Blake found herself in Hollywood's worst possible position, not loudly canceled, but subtly, irreversibly radioactive as trust evaporated.
And she's saying, "I'm torn. Obviously, your feelings decided. But if you were open to it, on one hand, F them forever. On the other, I want this movie to work, and your song hits a main artery."
The released messages laid bare Blake's manipulative tactics. She would flatter Taylor, saying you know pop culture better than anyone, then cunningly position Taylor as uniquely responsible for the film's success, even for the song's perceived necessity. This is why calling it a meltdown is no exaggeration. Blake plunged from a carefully curated image to a full reputational freefall in mere days. It wasn't fueled by fleeting gossip, but by irrefutable receipts. The text revealed profound arrogance, blatant manipulation, and a dangerous belief that her fame rendered her untouchable. Swift fans, however, revel in humbling anyone who forgets the audience wields immense power too.
This message is so manipulative. First, she's flattering Taylor like she's doing with everyone that she's manipulating. She's saying that, oh, you know pop culture better than anyone. And then she kind of positions Taylor as uniquely responsible.
There was a profound irony in the unfolding drama. Blake and her inner circle frequently championed accountability and transparency, yet the moment true accountability appeared, complete with irrefutable timestamps, suddenly everyone clamored for privacy and context. You cannot preach empowerment and then panic when people read your own words. This stark hypocrisy is what ultimately sealed Blake Lively's fate in the court of public opinion. She found herself in the worst possible place in Hollywood, not loudly canceled, but quietly radioactive. Outrage may fade, but deep distrust, once earned, lingers far longer, and the Swifties were done defending her.
Blake told Taylor to delete text messages. Why wouldn't you share that if you had it, right? If you did, and unless you made a deal with Taylor or something else, I feel like there must be something here that maybe they're holding on to. Now, they would need to have released it to put it in court.
The internal studio perspective painted an even darker picture. In sworn depositions, senior Sony leadership admitted they privately blamed Blake for the film's disastrous rollout. One executive even acknowledged using the chilling word terrorist when describing her conduct internally. This wasn't mere internet slang. It was a seasoned studio veteran articulating professional exhaustion. These weren't interns gossiping. These were the very people distributing the film. When those paying the bills openly state the backlash was self-inflicted, it unequivocally tells you everything about where credibility truly lies, very clearly and publicly. Blake's actions were severely impacting the bottom line.
If this film succeeds or not, she put so much pressure on her, saying that this song is necessary, and without it, it's nothing. So the way I see this is that if Taylor says no, she's standing in the way of Blake's success. And Blake is making sure that she knows that.
The filings also revealed numbers that mattered far more than feelings. Sony meticulously tracked sentiment during the release week and watched it crater. Instead of growth, engagement rapidly turned negative, directly driven by Blake's own promotional choices. Executives noted she stubbornly ignored advice, brazenly pushed her personal brand during a sensitive domestic violence storyline, and even blocked her co-star from press access. This wasn't activism, it was outright sabotage. Studios operate on math, not vibe. When leadership sees ticket momentum stall because the lead actress refuses to cooperate, any sympathy vanishes immediately, leading to cascading financial consequences.
Justin Baldoni's partners, do you remember telling this individual that you thought Blake Lively was an effing terrorist? And now the lawyer steps in and says objection, and the witness says yes. I mean, how bad was this woman? She's now slinging all of these attacks on how awful Justin Baldoni was to work with when executives at Sony are calling you a terrorist.
Calling Blake's actions creative input is frankly generous. Evidence showed her pushing for absolute control even before filming commenced. She openly discussed edits, music, leverage, and narrative power months in advance. The original composer, who had completed most of the score, was abruptly removed near the finish line. Whispers circulated suggesting Taylor Swift had told Blake she wouldn't allow her song to be used unless the original composer, with whom Taylor allegedly had an issue, was fired. Replacement composers were then given roughly a week to deliver an entire soundtrack. This wasn't collaboration, it was a blitz incurring budget hits and story incoherence.
Anyways, that ended up in the trailer of It Ends With Us. And Blake used this to pressure Sony. We know that already because she was like, I'm the one who can get us that song, and if you don't do this and that and all that stuff and all that manipulation she did behind the scenes, she said that Taylor wouldn't give her the song.
The cold hard stats made Blake's position even uglier. Justin Baldoni boasted over a dozen directing credits before this project. Blake had a single one. Producer credits showed an even wider chasm. He possessed decades of production experience tied to his company. She had extremely limited exposure, yet she aggressively positioned herself as the project's fixer. Even test audiences reportedly preferred Baldoni's original cut, and bringing in an A-list advisory circle still failed to outperform his version. This wasn't a biased opinion, it was a comparative performance that failed loudly. Numbers, it turns out, consistently matter more than spin narratives, celebrity protection, or PR smoke and mirrors.
And hey, I feel like there's been some distance, and Taylor Swift essentially saying you're not wrong kind of confirms that there was some type of disruption in the friendship, that people weren't wrong when they were noticing very quickly that the two of them have not been palling around like they were before.
Taylor Swift's undeniable involvement is where any pretense of denial completely collapsed. She wasn't just a distant collaborator, she actively reviewed trailers, personally approved casting decisions, and openly discussed leverage. Furthermore, her brother controlled the critical licensing approvals, directly contradicting any claims of distance or minimal engagement. Messages explicitly detailed strategy, conversations about power shifts, and managing optics. This wasn't a passive endorsement, it was fully informed consent and active participation. Fans who read every single line instantly noticed these blatant contradictions, ensuring the truth was impossible to hide across platforms. Blake's carefully constructed narrative crumbled.
Because there were a lot of rumors that Taylor Swift had said to Blake that she did not want to give her her song unless they fired the composer of the movie because she had an issue with this composer.
The Travis Kelce piece of this puzzle matters more than many realize. He's not merely Taylor's partner, he's a potent cultural barometer, with nothing to gain by inserting himself into Hollywood mess. Reports surfaced that he questioned Blake's tone and intentions early on, noticing troubling patterns before even the fans did. His subtle yet undeniably loud decision to unfollow Ryan Reynolds in celebrity language was instantly decoded by Swift fans as confirmation of their concerns. Inner circle signals, especially from someone as close as Kelce, often speak volumes more than carefully crafted public statements, confirming an underlying concern within Taylor's trusted circle.
But I'm assuming it's coming from her because who else would have the interest of saying something like that? So I don't know if she said to Sony, you know, if I don't get to choose the composer of this movie, then Taylor won't allow us to use her song because she had an issue with this person.
Let's be blunt, this stopped being about Blake defending herself the moment the receipts revealed clear intent. Once those early texts surfaced, the entire narrative cracked straight down the middle. These weren't defensive messages, nor were they reactive. They were preloaded, strategic communications sent before cameras even rolled, before any conflict existed, before anything could reasonably go wrong. Blake was already positioning herself as the project's true power behind the scene. This crucial detail matters immensely, as juries, studios, and audiences do not ignore premeditation. It fundamentally alters motive, credibility, and ultimately everything about the unfolding scandal.
I would not be surprised if there's not more here, and we might hear more from Taylor later, or a deal was made. I don't know, because I'm hoping, as a Taylor fan, even though I'm extremely disappointed, I'm hoping it's just that she was duped by Blake, right? That she was roped in as an ally for women and for stepping up for feminism, that she was like horrified that there was this fake feminist doing terrible things. And
fans do not. This is where Blake Lively's situation grows even darker. The issue wasn't that she leaned on powerful friends. Hollywood runs on such connections. The problem was her public portrayal of being blindsided while privately engineering every outcome. She openly discussed taking over edits, replacing creative leads, and leveraging influence. Yet, when the inevitable pushback came, she swiftly cried foul. This isn't courage, it's opportunism meticulously wrapped in victim language. Swift fans possess zero tolerance for such a transparent bait and switch, especially when presented with undeniable proof. They felt personally lied to, and that feeling fueled their collective rejection.
I just found another text message. Blake Lively also tried to drag Taylor Swift's fiance into this.
Now, the harsh realities of career math start to stack against Blake Lively. Studios calculate risk, and Blake now represents a volatile cocktail of uncertainty, potential leaks, fan backlash, and litigation gravity. Insurance companies despise this, marketing teams recoil, and casting directors grow wary. Even if Blake never loses a single legal case, she's already losing precious momentum. Hollywood doesn't patiently wait for verdicts. It reacts swiftly to risk curves, and right now, her curve looks undeniably bad. The Swift fan backlash alone introduces a level of reputational volatility that studios simply cannot control, making her a liability.
And it shows how Blake was trying to get Travis Kelce dragged into this as well. And now new reports are showing that Travis was actually the one who warned Taylor about Blake.
The gaslighting attempt, saying Taylor only provided a song while evidence showed deeper involvement, failed spectacularly. It was an insult to intelligence. Claiming distance while actively joking about leverage is not a simple miscommunication. It's blatant dishonesty. Fans are famously forgiving of genuine mistakes, but they simply do not and will not forgive being lied to, especially not by someone they once admired. Blake's fundamental problem wasn't merely playing the Hollywood game, it was pretending she didn't even know the rules, all while trying to manipulate them to her advantage. The Swifties, in their meticulous audit, exposed every contradiction.
And then also basically using Taylor to just agree and badmouth this guy that maybe wasn't exactly as Blake was saying it, could have been that final straw. And on top of now being inserted on this drama and lawsuits and everything else is the last thing Team Swift or anybody wants to have.
The industry consequences are now relentlessly stacking up. Blake Lively is no longer considered a safe press presence. Interviews risk reopening painful wounds, red carpet appearances, invite protest narratives, and brand partnerships now come with undeniable backlash metrics. Every public appearance transforms into a liability calculation. This is precisely how careers stall without any official announcements. There's no blacklist, just an insidious silence. The phone stops ringing, scripts cease coming, and invitations quietly thin out. That is the true meltdown. Not public tears, but quiet, pervasive exclusion. A slow fade into irrelevance that Hollywood rarely forgives.
She's saying, I finally gotten to get in the edit alone. No Justin. So she's admitting here that she finally succeeded in kicking out the director of his own movie. And she continues, I'm gonna make this movie great. Successful.
What makes this entire situation even more tragic is that Blake could have avoided much of it by simply being honest from the outset. She could have openly stated she pushed creatively, admitted to power struggles, or even owned her ambition. Instead, she chose to construct a moral narrative that swiftly collapsed under the weight of overwhelming evidence. That specific choice cost her far more than any potential lawsuit ever could. Because credibility, once irrevocably lost in Hollywood's unforgiving landscape, does not regenerate. The perception of her character, built on years of curated public image, shattered into irreparable pieces before the world's eyes.
And she's saying, I can change it. I'm just curious your reaction as someone who knows pop culture better than anyone, and also as someone who's read this book. So Taylor actually read It Ends With Us, something that Jenny Slate admitted that she never did.
And here lies the ultimate, most bitter insult. Blake did all of this, engineered the chaos, faced the backlash, shattered trust for a movie that ultimately didn't even justify the monumental upheaval. The film never became a cinematic classic. It didn't redefine the art form, nor did it profoundly change lives. Instead, it tragically became a stark case study in how unchecked ego can relentlessly burn everything around it. That, devastatingly, is the legacy now. Not the performances, not any profound message, but the absolute undeniable meltdown. A cautionary tale etched into the annals of Hollywood, served by millions who felt personally disrespected by her actions.
You lied to me. All of a sudden, things start to break. And I don't know if that's potentially what happened with Taylor. I have no idea. And I do hope that at some point she's able to tell her side of the story, because as I've said before, if this case has taught me anything, it is that you need to hear both sides.
So yes, Blake Lively is indeed in a complete meltdown, but not because fans are unfair or the internet is inherently cruel. Her downfall stems from thinking she could quietly manipulate power in an era where everything leaves an indelible digital trail. Swift fans didn't destroy her career. They simply exposed the fundamental cracks in her carefully constructed facade. And once those cracks were glaringly visible to the world, Hollywood, with its unforgiving calculations of risk and reputation, simply did the rest. The silence left behind by the largest fan base on the planet is a powerful final verdict, echoing where careers go to die.